few things you may want to know. In the state of California, you can register to vote all the way up until the last day to vote, which is November 5th. In LA County, you may vote at any voting center or polling place of your choosing. Early voting has already started, both in person and by mail. If you need information about your registration or any election question, call the Registrar of Voters at 800-815-2666. That's 800-815-2666, or visit lavote.gov. Once you fill out your mail-in ballot, you may drop it in any county election mailbox found outside places like libraries, or you could drop it off with a poll worker at any vote center. If you suspect election foul play, voter suppression or intimidation, or other irregularities, or if you need to know more about your rights, call the Election Protection Hotline at 1-866-OUR-VOTE. That's 866-687-8683. From any state. And if you need more information on specific candidates or propositions, check out our interviews and analysis on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, November 5th is the last day to vote, and the sooner we do it, the better. Helping you vote like your life depended on it, because it does. Your election information station, KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, so I'm calling your show, 'cause I need to know. Show me which way to go before I throw my man out the door.
Okay, hold on a second, Keisha. Just let me ask Ronald exactly what's going on, because it takes two to tango, and I need to hear his side of the story.
So she's driving me insane, got stress heavy on my brain. She keeps playing silly games, man, I'm about to bring the pain. We seem to fuss and fight every day and every night. Please give some advice so we can see the light, see the light.
I'm a body psychotherapist, and I'm one of the people who's working with body and trauma and integrating mind-body, which has been so important in the trauma field. But sometimes you can't work with people with body. Sometimes, especially people who've been physically and sexually abused, they don't tolerate awareness of body very well, or sometimes not at all, and sometimes only in very small doses. But one thing you can usually do with everybody is work with dual awareness. And dual awareness has a lot of different features. Dual awareness, one aspect of dual awareness is being able to recognize that even though I'm feeling upset right now, even though I might even be having a flashback, what's going on with me right now has to do with something in the past, and I'm aware of where I am in the here and now, which is separate from that memory of the past. That's one aspect of dual awareness. Another aspect really calls on the sensory nervous system and balancing the information we get from our exteroceptors, which are our five senses: sight, hearing, taste, touch, sound. And sight, hearing, taste, touch, smell. I knew that was wrong. And our interoceptors, which is being able to feel sensations on the inside of our body, like heart rate and what our breathing feels like, or butterflies in the stomach, or aches in the joint. That's all part of the interoceptive system. And people with PTSD, and I'd also throw in that category people with anxiety and panic disorder, often define their reality based on what they are sensing from their interoceptors, what's going on the inside. So if somebody's really frightened, really their heart rate is racing and they're dizzy, which would be interoceptive sensations, for example, they might conclude that their environment, their external environment, is dangerous without using their exteroceptors to see, hear, smell, etc., what's going on actually in the external environment. Is it safe or not? And so I want the people I'm working with PTSD to be able to acknowledge the interoceptive sensations that may come to the conclusion I'm very frightened with that dizziness and my high heart rate and whatever.
See, let me just say it like this. A lot of people are really faking okay. They've mastered looking okay. They've mastered sounding okay, right? Walking okay, talking okay. But on the inside, they're not okay. You guys have heard me mention this particular book on several occasions, and it's called The Body Remembers by Babette Rothschild. We were fortunate enough to find a clip. Shout out to Attila. We were fortunate enough to find a clip of Babette Rothschild speaking about what's going on internally. Right? And you guys have heard me say on numerous occasions, if you're unhealed, if you haven't started the healing process, you are allowing the unhealed wounds within your spirit to interpret, to translate, to color your reality based on what you've been through. Right? What does that have to do with today's topic? I was inspired to do this topic. I meant to do it months ago. Right? But I was re-inspired to do this topic because I met this incredible young lady in the cigar lounge. And she was there promoting her business. And the people at the cigar lounge be like, well, Zoe's here, so we can go talk to him about our problems. And a few people in the cigar lounge know Zoe just wants to sit in there by himself. Zoe talks a lot on radio, but not very much off the air. But they brought the sister in, and she began to talk, and what do you do? What is this and that, and whatever. I'm pretty antisocial off the radio, to be quite honest. I go in the chairman's lounge and close the door behind me. And fortunately for me, the door locks. However, I digress. She began to talk about, relationships and just this shut down, locked down, and she was honest. Oh man, she was honest. She was like, I think her response was, if I could pull it up in my memory, her response was, I can be problematic. And I said, whoa, what is that? And then, she attributed it to her father and how he raised her to be a certain kind of way. And, so needless to say, she has to be in control. She has to dominate. Things have to go her way. Other perspectives don't matter, don't make sense, blah, blah, blah. Really, you're an accoutrement in my world. You're an accessory to my world. If you're not in alignment with the dictates of my world, of my reality, you gotta go. And y'all, I don't know how many of you guys have taken my coaching, but after a few questions and me beginning to peel back some layers, she got choked up, started crying, and was thugging to cry though. Oh, she was thugging to cry. She kept saying, "I'm from the east side. I don't be crying." She thugged to cry out like, nah, brother. No, you not finna pull this up out of me. Yes, it's already out. So and I had to remind her. I said, "This is a safe space. You can share. There's no judgment." And I said, "Do yourself a favor and let as much of it out as you can." And she started to share. And we talked maybe for about good 90 minutes, man. It was a strong conversation, and it inspired me to do this topic. Tonight's topic. Woo! I don't know if y'all ready. Because she ain't the only person I've met. I've met men like this. I've met multiple men and women that suffer from this right here. And after talking to her, I was like, this topic has to come to the forefront. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the VOR exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. You already know what it is. I slap you upside your dome piece on your way home from Jones Beach. Shout out to Nas with the coldest relationship topics anywhere. Nobody goes this deep. Nobody is this nuanced. Nobody's breaking it down from these levels. This many levels, I should say. Well, here we are today. Tonight's topic, party of one. Are you afraid to be seen and heard? A powerful look into pathological loneliness. Let me read it again, because you need to let this topic sit in your spirit. It has to settle in. Party of one. Are you afraid to be seen and heard? A powerful look into psychological loneliness. Psychological loneliness. Excuse me, I'm saying it all wrong. It's not psychological loneliness. Please forgive me. Ross Rosenberg, I'm sorry. We got your clips all throughout this. It's pathological loneliness, not psychological. I don't know why that's in my head, but it's pathological loneliness. Party of one. Are you afraid to be seen and heard? A powerful look into pathological loneliness. Please forgive the faux pas. Pathological loneliness is a state of deep, persistent loneliness and feelings of worthlessness that can be considered a disease. It can be a major problem in older adults and is associated with an increased risk of developing biological dysfunctions, psychological distress, and behavioral problems. Pathological loneliness. You hear Ross Rosenberg, you read a lot about this in Ross Rosenberg's Human Magnet Syndrome book. Pathological loneliness, party of one. You could be in a relationship. You could be married and still feel this lonely. What is the source? This loneliness. What is the source of this loneliness? Do you want me to give you the definition early, or do you want me to read some questions? I'll read some questions first. Are you the nicest person no one has ever known? 1-800-920-1580. Oh, Lord. Pathological loneliness and ego dynamics. To what extent does pathological loneliness stem from an individual's unresolved ego identity? And how can ego transcendence mitigate its effects? 1-800-920-1580. I know. You with people. but they really don't know you. You never really knew me. How many times have you heard that? You never really knew me. Krishnamurti argues that attachment to the self, i.e. the ego, creates internal and psychological fragmentation. Could pathological loneliness be a symptom of this internal fragmentation? How does pathological loneliness distort our perception of love and human connection? Drawing on David Deidda's work on masculine and feminine polarities, does loneliness amplify by the imbalance between these energies within individuals? That's a very interesting question. David Deidda's work is amazing. Does pathological loneliness reflect an over-identification with the self-concept? In the teachings of Ramana Maharishi, ego dissolution leads to true freedom. How does pathological loneliness reinforce the illusion of separateness? Goodness gracious. Party of one. Let's bring it down a taste. Have you ever been in a relationship and you felt like you were just going along to get along, and you felt like you really didn't fully connect, and you felt unsure and unsafe to really open up and share maybe some of your deep-seated issues? You know, this inherent fear, right? If I say this, I'm going to lose them. Right? If I say this, I'm going to ruin the opportunity. Pathological loneliness. Pathological loneliness, according to Ross Rosenberg, is the inability to really share the truth of who you are, for fear of being seen as unworthy, for fear of being seen as not enough. Can you imagine being okay with being unseen and unheard in your relationship for fear of losing it? Party of one. Are you afraid to be seen and heard? A powerful look into pathological loneliness. When I tell you this is going to get deep, 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 I want you to get to your phone lines. I want to share your conversation. You share your conversation with me. This is a discussion. It is a dialogue. It's not a monologue. When I come forward, the voice of reason, go into the phone lines. I want to talk.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Tommy! I can't wait for golf this weekend, huh, buddy? Time flies. Love you, man. Oh, don't forget your knee brace again. We aren't in college anymore.
Moments together matter, so help protect yourself from RSV. If you're 75 or older or 60 plus with a chronic condition like asthma, COPD, heart disease, or severe diabetes, you're at higher risk of landing in the hospital from RSV, and there are no prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick. Soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max use for adults only.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, I am D.L. Hughley, host of the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, heard weekdays from 2 to 4 exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. I promise to make you think a little, but laugh a whole lot more. So tune in to the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show 2 to 4 only on KBLA Talk 1580.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
And so here we come towards the end of a year and sort of the week that is the holiday season, however it is you're celebrating, or maybe you're not celebrating at all. And this has been the year to end all years. And, you know, like I said, we're coasting to the end of it. And it was a year many families experience and many people experience unimaginable losses, losses of lives of people they care about, losses of jobs, losses of financial security. The world changed, you know, and in some very permanent ways. And I'm sure all of you, something happened this year that's going to have ramifications for a long time. In the world of mental health, we see that the ramifications have been huge. Mental health crises around anxiety, depression, substance use have all gone up. We've seen skyrocketing rates of domestic violence and even an uptick in rates of suicide. So this is a very, very precarious time from a mental health perspective. And many of us in the field know that a lot of these patterns may end up remaining for a long time, even after the pandemic looks like. But there's another thing that's come up, and I think a lot of people may be feeling it acutely, especially this month and in these weeks, which is being alone. A lot of loneliness. A lot of people are saying, I'm alone. At a time of year, I'm not supposed to be alone. And people are really feeling it profoundly. Loneliness is a thing. And I actually believe it's the person who's coming in as a Surgeon General has written about this idea of loneliness as really actually being a public health crisis. It's pronounced in older adults. It's actually pronounced in a lot of people. And technology sometimes makes us feel we're connected when we're not. But loneliness is different than something else, which is learning to be alone. And I have to say that is something that under the conditions we've been living in, some people had to flex a muscle they didn't know they had, which was learning to be alone. Now on a channel like this that's on narcissism, let me tell you why that's so important. When you can learn to be alone and really like your company, or at least enjoy it somewhat, it ends up becoming a really important protection for yourself. I can't tell you how many people I know who got out of one narcissistic relationship and boom, got right into another one. Person comes from a narcissistic family, boom.
That's because they're the narcissist. You get what you are. I know you don't want to hear it that way. I know you don't want to hear it that way. You get what you are. You get who you are. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Listen, Romney is spot on here. Here's the thing. You heard me say before, self-neutrality before you can get to interpersonal mutuality. Before you can get to interpersonal mutuality, there must be self-neutrality. You're not neutral with yourself. You're not non-judgmental with yourself. You typically condemn yourself. If we go back to the first clip we played by Babette Rothschild, Babette is explaining this visceral kind of automatic response that trauma has over the body when we perceive that we are in a familiar danger. Right? The wound takes over. This looks like what happened. So the body starts to, what are we doing? We fighting? We flighting? Or we freezing? Do you understand? Pathological loneliness. Listen, let's go to Ross Rosenberg's definition. Ross Rosenberg defines pathological loneliness as a toxic form of loneliness that is a primary withdrawal symptom of self-love deficient disorder, SLDD. And he considers it an addiction, right? He considers it an addiction. It's characterized by feelings of isolation, unworthiness, unsafety, and is driven by core shame. SLDD, right? Self-love deficient disorder. Right? Which is another word for codependence. Why is it that the codependent and the narcissist both have a core shame wound? When we come forward, we're going to talk about why you can't share who you really are. It's going to get deeper and deeper. Let's go.
He's on fire tonight. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Vice President Harris's campaign is declining a live interview with Elon Musk on X. That's according to billionaire investor Mark Cuban, who offered to connect them with Musk, who owns X, but the Harris campaign reportedly said they did not trust that Musk would stick to the topic of the election. The city of Akron, Ohio, has reached a financial settlement with the family of a black man, Jalen Walker. Walker's family filed a federal lawsuit after the 25-year-old's 2022 shooting death at the hands of Akron police. Nike will continue to be the exclusive uniform partner for the NBA and WNBA well into the next decade. The sports apparel giant and the 2 leagues announced Monday they renewed their partnership that began in 2017. And several southern states are smashing early voting records. Georgia, North Carolina, and Louisiana are among those setting new records for the November election. Voters in more states can vote early starting now. They include Texas, Florida, Arkansas, South Carolina, and Connecticut. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
September 15th to 21st is Asthma Peak Week, with the highest concentration of asthma flare-ups and hospitalizations. To become a more active participant in your care, visit luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
KBLA Talk 1580 is here for you as you make your voting plan. And we've got a few things you may want to know. In the state of California, you can register to vote all the way up until the last day to vote, which is November 5th. In LA County, you may vote at any voting center or polling place of your choosing. Early voting has already started, both in person and by mail. If you need information about your registration or any election question, call the Registrar of Voters at 800-815-2666. That's 800-815-2666, or visit lavote.gov. Once you fill out your mail-in ballot, you may drop it in any county election mailbox found outside places like libraries, or you could drop it off with a poll worker at any vote center. If you suspect election foul play, voter suppression or intimidation, or other irregularities, or if you need to know more about your rights, call the Election Protection Hotline at 1-866-OUR-VOTE. That's 866-687-8683. From any state. And if you need more information on specific candidates or propositions, check out our interviews and analysis on our YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcasts. Remember, November 5th is the last day to vote, and the sooner we do it, the better. Helping you vote like your life depended on it, because it does. Your election information station, KBLA Talk 1580.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelenos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
To the 100 million people who owe the IRS money, this message is for you. We've helped tens of thousands of people close the door on their tax debt. So if you feel like you're stuck in a hole with IRS tax debt, then this is the easiest way to get a resolution quickly. To qualify for a no-pay or low-pay resolution, just call 687-246-9655 to get free from the IRS once and for all.
To keep your bank accounts, income, and assets secure, tax closure is your same-day cure.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
Helping to broaden your political and moral imagination with our 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jeff Davis. I believe my daughter should inherit something, but not the role and responsibility of burying me. That's why I have a pre-need burial insurance plan through Harrison Ross Mortuary. Their plan offers me 4 payment options. 1, pay in advance or pay over 3, 5, or 10-year time periods to keep the payments affordable. Contact the professionals today at Harrison Ross Mortuary. We can be reached at area code 310-704-4901. That's 310-704-4901. And ask for me, Jeff Davis. Thank you.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a Black and Brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. or find them on Instagram at WalkGoodLA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and she's always gone too long. Anytime she goes away, wonder this time where she's gone. Wonder if she's gonna stay. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone, and this house just ain't no home. Anytime she goes away.
Hi, I'm Ross Rosenberg. Welcome to my latest YouTube video and podcast. Today I'm going to talk about a concept that I created about maybe 12 years ago, which actually has its roots into my life going back to 1977. But let me explain first. The idea is pathological loneliness. What I would come to learn is that pathological loneliness goes hand in hand with the experience of codependency, or what I call self-love deficit disorder. There's no separation of it. In fact, pathological loneliness is this bone-aching, existential pain that codependents or people with self-love deficit disorder, or SLDs, they feel when they're not in a relationship. It is so painful, so disturbing, it can break the resolve of any SLD who is trying to break free of a narcissistically abusive relationship. If you're not an SLD, codependent, you won't know what I'm talking about. But when I came up with this concept, pathological loneliness, and I identified it in my own life, I identified that in between my relationships, that I would later find out are fueled by the human magnet syndrome's compulsion to be with the narcissist, the opposite attraction, I would experience this intense loneliness. And it was visceral. I could feel it in my abdomen, sometimes in my neck, sometimes in my temples. It was this feeling of pain that if I wasn't with someone, something was drastically wrong with my life. It's almost as if I didn't exist. Therefore, and this is the title of this presentation, pathological loneliness is an existential disease. So if we think of the word existential, and I'm not going to talk about existential philosophy, existential psychology, but if we just look at the root of the word, exist, an existential dilemma is a dilemma in which you don't feel grounded in the world in which you live in the life that you are living, that being free to be yourself without feeling awkward, feeling negative, feeling pessimistic, feeling like something is wrong, feeling like you don't fit in your skin. Pathological loneliness tears down the fabric of existential freedom, which really is just being alive and being present in your life and enjoying it. Therefore, pathological loneliness is the opposite of freedom to be yourself without deep contemplation, worry, or dread that something is wrong, something is missing,
Ross Rosenberg cooking with that grapeseed oil. Put that on relationships. You can't be yourself. You feel like you might be judged, condemned. Why? Because you do that to yourself. Before we came forward, and now that we've come full circle, what did I talk about? I said, you got to get neutral before you can get mutual. Oftentimes, we want somebody to come into a relationship on this give and take get down. But if they're not neutral within their own spirit, they can't be mutual with you. You remember a couple of shows ago, I said it's got to be 100, 100. I likened the give and take scenario. You give 100% of what you got to give. That's how you make relationship work. They give 100% of what they got to give. That's what commitment is based on. It's not 50-50. It's like music publishing. It's 100-100. 100% writers, 100% composers. Together, we own the record, the music, the rhythm of the relationship. But you won't find rhythm in a relationship unless there's an internal rhythm. How do you get to an internal rhythm within yourself? What is your soul melody? If you don't know the soul melody, that means something is blocking it. Something, self-awareness is, or a lack of self-awareness is blocking your ability to get neutral with yourself. Babette Rothschild, man, you could be traumatized as a kid. Your body, your brain, your central nervous system will remember and encode this event. If we know anything about the brain, we know that the amygdala, strong emotions, the amygdala remembers very strong emotions. In the brain, we have flashpoint memories. Everybody in the world can remember where they were when the planes hit the building. Flashpoint memories. Everybody in the world can remember, or the people that were born can remember in '86 when the Challenger space shuttle blew up. Man, they stopped school for that. I was in school in basketball practice. Said, "Oh, we got to stop." Tragedy struck. Flashpoint memories. Right? Well, these happen in childhood too. Your body records it. So if you're ever in a situation or scenario that will recall some of these feelings, sometimes you just need a smell that'll bring back this visceral response in your body. Sometimes you just need music, so a song that was playing before it happened. Boom. Do you understand? So pathological loneliness, born out of a deep shame wound. Sound familiar? Sounds like attachment theory, doesn't it? Insecure attachment styles. Dismissive avoidant, fearful avoidant, anxious preoccupied. Right? When Ross Rosenberg is saying, wow, the self-love deficient person has a shame wound, a worthiness wound, and they're inextricably attracted to narcissists. And narcissists are attracted to them. Sound familiar? Relationship as a mirror. Oh, wow, the attachment styles are attracted to each other. The insecure ones especially, right? Oh, and the insecure can actually pull the secure insecure, and vice versa. Do you see how this is working? We got callers on the line. I want to know, have you struggled to feel safe enough to open up, to share the truth of who you are? I know people are afraid of this conversation. If I asked you to call right now, would you share the truth of who you are? And I don't want you to find the best words you could, just as long as they're not profane words, no profanity. But you know how people dress it up, right? You know, I try and, no, don't dress it up. Tell the truth. Can you be honest about who you are? We're going to have that conversation. Attila, Houston, Texas. Get in here. What are your thoughts?
I didn't want to go first.
Yeah.
Ew. Gross.
Oh, my God. Here we go.
Nah, but listen though. You talked about neutrality. You kind of brought up some things for me. And so something that it kind of made me think of was a comment that I think it was Jack made in the comments, and he was saying that the gentlemen's clubs are full of brothers with shame wounds, right?
He did say that, yes. Yes.
Being that I am a fearful avoidant with shame wounds and other wounds that we don't want to talk about right now, I'm finding that shame is either going to beget people who either perpetuate the shame or they're going to neutralize it with their own shame. And so what I mean by that is either you're going to have people that play into that shame and essentially shame you for your own shame, or you're going to attract people who have a greater level of destruction in their own lives than you do. And so what's interesting about that is I think that is literally the description of that kind of swing, or the fearful avoidant swing back and forth between avoidant and anxious. And I say all that to say that with neutrality, I think we're asking for an offense that gets countered by a defense that we create by perpetuating our own shame. And so essentially, like, it's weird. It's like you get into a space where you have to basically create more and more opportunities for shame within yourself. And so I think that's where that anxious period comes up, right? Because that's a way for you to create or essentially heap more shame into yourself based on the way that you're acting in a particular situation. And so, I mean, I say all this to say that I myself am still kind of like trying to navigate the avenues between neutrality and learning to essentially be okay with not having a high level of a shame wound or a high level of a, I forgot what the other one is for fearful avoidance, but
anxiety?
Nonetheless, sure.
Worthiness?
Worthiness wounds.
Yes. So let me come back. Let me ask you this question. And then we're going to come forward, and then when we come full circle, you're going to give me the answer here. Let me just give you. Would you say that when you get internally neutral, you stop judging yourself, you stop the negative talk, you stop demeaning and disrespecting yourself, right? Would you say you turn off the magnet, right? The magnet that, of course, Ross Rosenberg is talking about when he talks about the human syndrome, right? Magnet. Do you turn that magnet off, or do you intensify it? When we come forward, we'll get Attila's answer.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
This truck season, think about all the things you can do in a Chevy truck. You can even just with impressive towing, incredible bed and tailgate functionality, and multiple powertrains. Chevy Silverado, the first ever Silverado EV, Colorado and Tahoe have what you need to get things done. When you want to do it all, Chevy's got you. It's Chevy truck season. Get 0% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet, together let's drive. 0% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $27.78 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 9.3%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 10/31/24.
You've got a Pepto predicament, moviegoer.
Hey, I can hear your stomach grumbling.
Sorry, I ate that entire tub of popcorn with extra butter.
You overdid it, and now your movie has turned into a blockbuster bellyache. Undo it with Pepto.
When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea.
Pepto Chewables provide fast 5-symptom relief, so you can focus on the action on the big screen instead of in your stomach. When you overdo it, undo it with Pepto. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA
LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. The Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Now my room has got 2 windows, but the sunshine never come through. You know it's always dark and dreary. Since I broke off, baby, with you, I live on a lonely avenue. My little girl wouldn't say I do, but I feel so sad and blue, and it's all because of you. I could cry, somebody, 'cause I live on lonely avenue. Oh, yes, sir. Now you know my covers, they feel like lead, and my pillow, it feels like stone. Well, I toss and turn so every night, I'm not used to being alone. I live on a lonely avenue.
Welcome to today's video blog. My name is Ross Rosenberg. I'm a psychotherapist, and I wrote the book, The Human Magnet Syndrome, Why We Love People Who Hurt Us. I've come to understand that codependency is a secondary condition. It's really a symptom of deeper problems. And when we understand codependency is not the problem that we treat, but a problem that is caused by something deeper, we therapists have a better opportunity to solve the problem. Codependency really is a product of deep shame, but more than that, of trauma. The type of trauma that I'm speaking of is attachment trauma. And attachment trauma is what occurs during the early years of one's life, during which they are bonding with their parent. If a child has a narcissistic parent, and by the way, I've explained this in detail in many of my other YouTube videos, but if a child has a narcissistic parent, they cannot be loved unconditionally. A child who learns to survive or cope with this difficult environment learns to be the nice child, the pleasing child, the trophy child. This trophy child figures out a way to get or stimulate their narcissistic parent to love them. So early on, they
Pause. See, Daddy? You remember that? You remember? You come on, I know y'all remember The Color Purple. Sinners can, what did she say? Sinners can sing too? What did she say? Come on. Y'all remember that? Daddy is a pastor. He got all, sinners have soul too. He got all the emotion and passion for the sermon, but none for his daughter because of the shame and guilt he has towards her, the judgment. And she's got shame and guilt for how he sees her. Do you see? Oh, man. Loneliness is often tied to early attachment wounds, particularly for those who experience disorganized or insecure attachment in childhood. John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth attachment theory explains how these early relationships shape adult patterns of intimacy. If you're in a pattern, you're in prison. Love, listen, this is why you don't understand unconditional love. This is why you say unconditional love is predicated on action. The actions are typically the opposite of what created the pattern in you. I didn't get consistency. Love has to be consistent. You got to be consistent. I didn't get emotional nurturing. You got to give me emotional nurturing on a consistent basis. Do you see? If your love is locked in a pattern, go back to the top of that video, man. Did you hear what he said? If your parent was narcissistic, that child cannot be raised in a... Can you play it?
Welcome to today's video blog. My name is Ross Rosenberg. I'm a psychotherapist, and I wrote the book, The Human Magnet Syndrome, Why We Love People Who Hurt Us. I've come to understand that codependency is a secondary condition. It's really a symptom of deeper problems. And when we understand codependency is not the problem that we treat, but a problem that is caused by something deeper, we therapists have a better opportunity to solve the problem. Codependency really is a product of deep shame, but more than that, of trauma. The type of trauma that I'm speaking of is attachment trauma. And attachment trauma is what occurs during the early years of one's life, during which they are bonding with their parent. If a child has a narcissistic parent, and by the way, I've explained this in detail in many of my other YouTube videos. But if a child has a narcissistic parent, they cannot be loved unconditionally. A child who learns to survive or cope with this difficult environment learns to be the nice child, the pleasing child, the trophy child. This trophy child figures out a way to get or stimulate their narcissistic parent to love them. So early on, they become a human doing versus a human being. Or in other words, they learn to get love, or to be worthy of love, you have to listen carefully and watch and scan one's environment to figure out what you need to do to make someone else happy. This child who learns to make the narcissist happy, and there's many ways to do this, gets what he or she needs to survive their childhood. But what they don't get is a feeling of self-worth or self-love. And early on, they experience a sense or a feeling of deep loneliness. So as I said in my other videos, this child who comes from a narcissistic parent develops a relationship template.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know from BIN News. Vice President Harris's campaign is declining a live interview with Elon Musk on X. That's according to billionaire investor Mark Cuban, who offered to connect them with Musk, who owns X, but the Harris campaign reportedly